We've arrived at the 5th episode of Creature Commandos, and this episode had a major highlight, which is the appearance of Batman's villain, Clayface, besides, of course, showing just how bizarre Frankenstein's past is after what happened with him and the bride in Victor Frankenstein's castle. This episode will be like the previous episodes because it shows Frankenstein's past while also showcasing the present with other characters. So this episode isn't literally focused on Frankenstein, but it has some concepts about Frankenstein that are really cool throughout the entire episode. So in today's video, we will analyze this episode called The Iron Pot. We will uncover some references in this episode because there are many things in this episode that we need to discuss. I thought this episode was a bit quick, but still managed to deliver quality storytelling. It's impressive how James Gunn can bring so many great things in such little time. Well, now, without further ado, let's analyze the episode. But before we start, don't forget to click the like button, comment below, and subscribe for more content like this. Also follow our other social media accounts, Instagram and Threads. There, I will also bring many updates about this universe that we all love so much. Well, the episode starts with Dr. McPherson, who is that specialist in Themyscira, giving a lecture at the university. They don't specify very well what university this is or where it's located, but since this character was created in the Gotham Academy comic book, it might be in the same place because Clayface will appear in this episode, and he is a Batman villain, so maybe this place is somewhere in Gotham City. And, well, the point is that Dr. McPherson is acting very strangely, flirting with some students and wanting to show that all Amazons are lesbians. While all of this is happening, we see Frankenstein and Rick Flag observing from outside. They also realize that Dr. McPherson isn't acting very professionally, so they decide to investigate further. The point is that Flag decided to go after Dr. McPherson because he isn't sure that all of Cersei's vision is real. He believes it's all a lie and that Dr. McPherson helped manipulate Amanda Waller. After all, Flag will have a reason to prevent that attack from Creature Commandos over in Pokolistan. After that, we have a flashback of Frankenstein, and here you can already see that these flashback scenes will focus on Frankenstein. So we have that same scene showing Frankenstein killing his father. In the present, Flag still tries to contact the princess to warn her that Creature Commandos will kill her, but still can't manage it. And at this moment, the Commandos arrive again in Pokolistan and are greeted by Princess Ilana's troops, who have no idea that the Commandos are there to kill Princess Ilana Rostovich. What I found really funny about this scene is that Creature Commandos are just there to kill Princess Ilana without any interventions. Now, that's an obedient team. General Alexei even suspects they're back and asks why they've returned, but obviously the group refuses to reveal their true intentions, saying it's confidential. But even suspecting, he agrees to take the monsters to the princess's castle. Meanwhile, we see the duo of Rick Flag and Frankenstein heading to Dr. McPherson's house to do some investigating. Additionally, we have this typical James Gunn joke about the cat on a leash, which soon becomes important because they use it as a hook for another flashback of Frankenstein. In this flashback, we see that Frankenstein managed to escape from the burning castle to the creek. He ended up fainting from pain, and the water current took him far away until a blind gypsy named Bogdana saved him and decided to care for him. The next day, Frankenstein talks to her about how being blind prevents her from seeing the beauty of the world. He even says he would kill himself if he were blind, but the gypsy teaches him to see the beauty of the world in other ways. I really like this idea of having this old lady talk to Frankenstein because it puts this character in a situation where he can learn a lot from her, serving as his guide to clarify what the world is or what beauty means. However, this episode becomes convoluted until it shows that Frankenstein learned nothing from her. But don't you find it a bit strange that this lady is the only person in that forest? She even knows how to handle herbs and can cure burn wounds. Back in the present at Dr. McPherson's house, which Rick Flag and Frankenstein have invaded, we see some Greek origin objects. Some people online say these items might be from Themyscira, since Dr. McPherson specializes in Themyscira, which makes sense, and there's this helmet that closely resembles the one Wonder Woman used in comics, but these items could also just be collectible Greek materials. Rick Flag goes up to the second floor and finds a trail of blood. He calls Frankenstein over to show him the body of the real Dr. McPherson in her room. This confirms for us that the Dr. McPherson we saw in the previous episode and in this one is an impostor. After Flag discovers that Dr. McPherson was an impostor, he immediately calls Princess Ilana and warns her that she is in danger because Creature Commandos are heading there to kill her. While she talks on the phone, Frankenstein keeps interrupting, wanting Flag to tell her about him. Flag manages to warn Princess Ilana to protect herself, but soon they realize that the fake Dr. McPherson is arriving at the house, forcing them to hide. After that, we have another flashback of Frankenstein. We see that some time has passed since he got there, and Frankenstein is still living with the old lady. They've even become good friends. He thanks her for helping him all this time, but she tells him not to call this place a refuge, but rather a home. She then says she's never had so much peace being there with Frankenstein and his dog Ivan. In this scene, we see that for a brief moment, Frankenstein forgets about his bride, but when she says this place is like a home for him, he remembers it will never be a home for him because in his mind, the only home he wants is with his bride. Ilana informs General Alexei that the Commandos' mission is to kill her, so General Alexei takes the team on an alternate route to buy time. The bride and Phosphorus notice something strange happening, and with every excuse Alexei gives, it only irritates Phosphorus more. Back with Flag and Frankenstein, the episode finally reveals who is pretending to be Dr. McPherson. It's Clayface, who is playing Mortal Kombat on his Xbox. Flag realizes it's Clayface, and they both try to escape but are caught off guard by Clayface. Meanwhile, in Pakolistan, Commando realizes they've fallen into a trap. And here is where we have some of the most violent scenes in this animation, and the first victim to die is Alexei, who, poor guy, is killed by Dr. Phosphorus without knowing anything. The animation then alternates between two action scenes, one with Flag against Clayface and another with the monsters against the princess's army, and they are very violent scenes that show here. The scene that stood out the most was this one of Flag having his spine broken in a Bane style, and we also have a highlight for Phosphorus, fully using his powers in the scene where he goes through a tank burning people. It's really awesome, and it's also here that there will be a reference to an old puppy of James Gunn in this poster. It's very quick, this scene, but this had already happened in the Suicide Squad movie. After knocking down Flag, Clayface tries to do the same with Frankenstein, but the monster manages to stop him by giving him a huge electric shock. And here we aren't sure if Clayface really died, especially since this character will have a solo live-action movie, but it could also be another Clayface because DC has many Clayfaces. We see that Flag is gravely injured. Obviously, he's not going to die since he will appear in the Superman movie. He then tells Frankenstein to tell the bride the truth, that what Cersei showed was all a lie, but I think Frankenstein, due to his rash behavior, will say other things. This then leads us to have a final flashback of Frankenstein where we see he hasn't learned anything from being around this lady, thinking he's being affectionate. He kills her, echoing that phrase he said about preferring to die than be blind and not see the beauty of the world. So we see that throughout this whole episode, Frankenstein still hasn't understood human emotions. The episode then ends with him and Dog Ivan searching for his bride. So that was our analysis of episode 5 of Creature Commandos. I really liked this episode. It wasn't as exciting as previous episodes, but I liked how James Gunn played with the characters throughout this whole episode, especially in the flashback scenes with Frankenstein, because it had everything for Frankenstein to learn what it means to be human. But in the end, the episode took a twist and showed us that he didn't learn anything at all, as the old lady knew. Anyway, that was our analysis. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment below, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.